you're not. It's not what. It's not the same as like, you know, Shabbat. Like it's not, I wouldn't say it's the same kind of thing, but I know that definitely in a lot of the Sifrei, the books of refinement, Sifrei Musar that are, a lot of them are quoted here, will say that anger is the gateway to lead to sin. So that when a person's angry, that's when. So I wouldn't say that it's a sin in and of itself, but it's definitely something that can lead to other things.
It's like,
and it's self-corroding. It's like, yeah. Sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. No,
oh no, in
ahead.
this one source that we just read, you know, a most serious character fall which causes one to sin.
Right.
It's sort of, it's the entryway to.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good at following halacha, but if it's got a halacha,
the other thing, I mean, I know this sounds crazy. Like I very often use my kids to keep me calm, which is often the reason like you get not calm. Like they're the sometimes you walk into the house and like I mean literally yesterday, I don't know if you told the story about anytime with the toilet.
Yeah.
Okay, right, exactly.
Making pancakes.
All right, he's making pancakes, and like it was interesting because like even you get the explanation first, because like your first reaction is to be like, what are you doing? Like and lose it, and you give them a chance to say what it is that they're doing, and you're like, oh, how thoughtful, how wonderful, like
they're just little kids,
right?
They're
Exactly.
not doing it on purpose.
And it's interesting also because I find that the moments where I'm inclined to get angry, I probably look ferocious and scary to them, and I would never want my kids to see me like that. And if you look in a mirror at the moment where you're feeling so angry, you would not recognize yourself.
Yeah, you said that.
Right, I truly feel like that every time I'm inclined, and it happens. We
You
have
don't want
awesome
scary
kids,
mommy.
but I'm inclined to get really, really angry and ferociously angry. Like, what are you doing? Or stop! I asked you 100 times. Whatever the issue is, and like I never want my kids to look at me and feel scared. And I feel the same way. Like you take that mentality and kind of translate it into you know your interaction with human beings. Like I would never want somebody to be like, she is the scariest person on earth. I never don't talk. She's scary. She's terrifying. Like I would never want somebody to use those words to describe me. But that is what we become when we're that angry. Like we're terrifying for sure. So I just use very often my kids as like the microcosm of how to like approach the world with it.
And the funny thing was when you think back to the situation. He was making pancakes for his grandparents.
Right.
So he said, what are you doing?
yeah.
I'm making pancakes for Papi and Sabab.
Right.
It was the most thoughtful act. Just to close out on your point, I don't know whether there is one definitive answer that we can all walk away with as to how we can curb our anger and how we can control our anger. Certainly the point and the discussion this week and last week was to certainly look at just some Jewish sources to see how destructive anger is, not just to the people around us, to our characters, our reputations, but also on a spiritual level, and to know that one method amongst thousands of methods is able to turn that anger into exercising patience for ourselves, exercising humility, and if we can all reach a point where, like keep coming back to this quote, but like the Koretz Rebbe, can take that anger and it's so malleable that we can just put it in our pocket and utilize and know how to utilize it when we need it, taking it out when we need to be angry because it's okay at some points, and other points, you know what, controlling our anger, then we'll all be better husbands and fathers and wives and boyfriends and girlfriends and friends and colleagues and everything, because we won't be controlled by our anger, but we will be controlling our anger for ourselves.
The other thing, I don't know if Daniel, if you brought this up about the idea of.
I did.
Okay. We'll talk about this later, okay? Like Dan L'Kaf Zechut, that we judge. There's a whole idea that we judge a person favorably, and Dan L'Kaf Zechut, when you give room in any argument or any circumstance, when you give room that there might actually be another side, that also can be very common. We were just in Thailand. This was a fabulous story, and this very nice Thai woman in a wonderful foot massage place that we were going to every day, because it was like, I think it was $7 for the hour. It was like something amazing like that.
Gosh.
Phenomenal. It's worth the ticket alone. So, and this Thai woman, she looks at me, she goes, "Oh, you're pregnant." I was like,
I hate that.
I was like, I wanted to cry. I'm like, I just had a baby. I'm trying to get the baby weight off. What are you doing to me? Like, my ego was this big. Like, I got so upset. And then I realized, I wanted to kick her because like, she's I was like, back away, woman. And I was just breathing. And what she was asking me was, are you pregnant? Because there are pressure points in the foot that you can't press if you're pregnant because it can induce labor. So she wasn't saying I looked pregnant.
Cool.
That was just, it was a language barrier. And I was like,
That's me if I was pregnant.
right. No, but like, so it was really, and it's funny because my mother-in-law got insulted that she wasn't asked if she was pregnant. So like she was only asking because she was like, I don't know, like you look like you're around the age that you could be, and there's certain parts of your foot I'm not supposed to touch. And my done the kaf sechut, my judge a person favorably brain was not in gear. I was like, you just insulted me, and I'm trying to lose weight, and like, what are you doing to me? But there really was another answer. It wasn't an insulting thing. It was just like, there was another side. She had a different perspective. So I think that also sometimes can just put the stop sign in front. It's like, okay, there might be another, even if it looks like there isn't another side, there might be another side. So
True.
very often that could.
I will send everybody, please go tomorrow, some a reading list of some great Jewish books on anger. Anyone wants to further read up on this, and just to make two plugs, Purim is fast approaching. Purim, one of the happiest days and festivals of the Jewish calendar. It's going to be Saturday night, Sunday, which means nobody has a work excuse. There are many ways you can participate and celebrate with us at KJ. We're having a Megillah reading on Saturday night, and an open house with Rabbi Weinstock and family and Rachel and I on Sunday, which everyone is invited to. I believe it's a free event. Lots of food, lots of drinking, lots of fun times, as well as more classes coming up in the next few weeks. We'll be focusing on Purim in his class. One class on happiness, one class on Purim, a little workshop on Purim, and then we get into the good stuff, which is leading us into Pesach. We don't take any break in the Jewish calendar. We go on and on. March 1st, you mentioned earlier, is Shabbat Across America. If you don't know what Shabbat Across America is, allow me to tell you very briefly. It's an effort to have as many people participate in Shabbat as possible. And we're hoping here at KJ to have Shabbat 500, to have 500 people participating in Friday night dinner together. And there'll be a large communal dinner with representation from groups from all within the community, from families to singles to couples to speak to me if you're interested. We're looking for some hosts, people to help us build that. Last year we had about 300 people. Also, if you want to have a meal in your house and invite some friends or invite your neighbors, I'm sure there are many people that on your floor in your buildings, at your workplaces that don't always celebrate Shabbat, and it's one chance to really get everyone together and experience Shabbat. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. If you have any questions about Purim, anger management, or Shabbat Across America, please speak with me.
We have class next week.
We do have class next week. Yeah.
Can they actually have you to pay for yourself and for somebody
No,
else?
not necessarily. No.
Just get people to come.
Your money is great, but
Yeah, it says.
no.
10
If you want to
hours
be a
per
host, some
day.
people want to host their table, so they want to pay for the whole table. But you do not need to host your table. Your host just means you will take the onus of inviting 10 other people or 9 other people.
But the concept is get everyone at the shul, not to do this at home, right?
But we offer both. Some people like to do things
So
at home.
what's Robin getting together with you, she said? So
Robin wants to be. Well, Robin wants to
she's
be a
gonna
host. Yeah, a table or 2.
Or two
Yeah.
or 8.
Or 8 possibly.
I think also sometimes people will have it in their home because, it's a little bit daunting. Like if there's a colleague or somebody on your floor who hasn't celebrated Shabbat before, it's like a little bit daunting to all of a sudden show up at a synagogue and there's this big, huge thing. So people will do it in their home just in the spirit of Shabbat Across America. We'll make that.
Try and do it in the same week,
date,
but
like
not
a weekend to
necessarily
do it.